What is the strategy that you have in getting in front of your audience every day? Because you're almost in front of your audience almost every single day. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I thought I was gonna be a sick kid the rest of my life. You know, see all the movies, you know, you see all that stuff. I thought I was gonna be a sick kid who couldn't operate and has to like have his parents take care of him for his whole life.
So how did that change for you? Like, when did that whole shift get out of the 18 to 19 months?
Yeah, so it started to shift when we were trying all these different doctors. I went to Seattle Children's Hospital, did whatever, and then they're like, okay, maybe he has a chronic appendicitis. And so I ended up getting my appendix out. I didn't need to, but we were like, we were pretty much just like, F it, let's just start trying stuff. And so when I was at the operating room and mom and parents were waiting for me, we ran into my chiropractor. And she's like, what's Bridger doing here? He's like a really healthy guy. Like, what's he doing? Oh, he's been sick for like, 8-9 months. He's been out of school. No way. And they're like, she shared some of my symptoms. She's like, have you ever heard of Lyme disease? And she's like, no, what is it? Oh, it's a disease where essentially, it can get into different parts of your bodies and cause different problems. It can get into your brain, cause super, super bad brain fog, get in your stomach, cause stomach aches, your heart even, so you have really fatigued.
Yeah.
And so she's like, there's actually the #1 Lyme disease specialist in the world that lives in Coeur d'Alene.
Really?
Yeah. So literally, this is a total God thing because there's literally people that fly in from Germany all over out of town. And so we booked an appointment with this guy, and I went in for my consultation to see if I had Lyme disease. And literally, the person before me literally flew in from Germany.
Wow.
Yeah. So like people are flying in. This guy's like world-renowned Lyme disease specialist. So I ended up testing positive for Lyme disease, got treated, and then as another protocol to heal faster, he had me essentially get my DNA tested by this guy named Dr. Bob Miller. Mm-hmm. So he's a DNA specialist. He's on cutting edge, research on essentially how to optimize your health and your body based on your DNA. And this is the future of where, the health and, healthcare industry is going to move, because each person's a little bit different. And so when he analyzed my DNA, it was the weirdest conversation that my mom had with this guy. So after we, spit in a tube for your DNA. So I spit in this tube, I sent it off, and the first conversation my mom had with Dr. Bob Miller was, he said, all right, so before we get into anything, is it cool if I ask you a couple questions about your son? He's like, yeah. Okay, so, is he a pretty ambitious, like, type A guy? Normally, he really has a lot of goals. Yeah, that's it. and then they're like, okay, and does he tend to have, like, really severe stomach pains? And literally, and went through all of my symptoms. We'd never talked to this guy before. He's only analyzed my DNA. So it was crazy. It was the weirdest thing. And so, and mom's like, yeah, like, does this guy like stalk my son or like what? And so anyways, he recommended a strategy of organic whole food supplements to compensate for what my body couldn't do naturally.
Oh, wow.
So I started taking these supplements back in, I think it was April of 2017. April of 2017, I took these supplements, and dude, I kid you not, 2 months later, or let's see here, maybe it was March actually, March of 2017, March or April, but I kid you not, within 2 months of being on these supplements, 6 to 8 weeks, I went from being bedridden, barely able to walk up and down the stairs because I had such little energy, being literally a melted couch potato. My form was like, my body was like, from being 18 months, it was literally like I was melted into a couch. Like I would stand up and I would be just melted. Like my entire posture, I had to go to a physical therapist after to fix everything.
Wow.
Because I was like, my body was like so messed up. So basically, from there, after I got these supplements, I started working out again.
Good.
May 4th, 2017 is when I started my fitness journey. And that was one of the most terrifying days of my life.
Really?
One of the
first day back in the gym?
Because I hadn't been in the gym. I went to the same gym that I used to go to. And they used to see me, I was 20 pounds heavier. I was in way better shape. And I just disappeared. I didn't tell anybody where I went or what happened. They're like, where did you go? And it was so new and recent, this like illness. And I was so insecure about it. Like I just either didn't share it or I shared it briefly and was insecure about it. And so I basically, when I went in the gym, I don't know if anybody can relate, but I was so worried, so insecure about like people thinking about me and judging me.
Everyone is like that at the beginning.
When they first start off. And I used to be like, man, they're judging me for how skinny I am, how out of shape I am. They're judging me for not knowing how to do the form right, setting up the machine wrong, looking like an idiot, And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, Bridger, you've got two options. And for those watching that are maybe in that same situation, haven't started that journey yet, you've got two options. The first option is you can continue down the path you're going and not make a change, and you can live with that pain of being insecure and out of shape forever. Or option number 2, you can face that pain right now. You can experience the right now pain, the embarrassment, the rejection, the feeling stupid, and you can later have the pleasure and the transformation, the experience, the confidence that you dream of. So you either have pain right now or pain forever.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I've had the pleasure now to know Bridger almost 6-7 months, and I can tell you that from everyone that I know, you have up there with the most self-confidence. So to hear a story that is as impactful, especially for those listening that maybe right now are going through that time of uncertainty, lack, fear, doubt, things like that, that's not enabling them to see the best possible version, whether it's lifestyle, business, health for themselves, to go from completely insecure, out of shape, and sick to being like who you are today. Like, it just goes to show you that you can desire your way out of any situation as possible.
100%. And one of the key things to that was, while I was sick, there's one guy who was like my role model. The guy that, man, when I get better, I want to be like this guy. And that was Greg O'Gallagher. Shout out to the man Greg, the homie Greg. And his videos kept me inspired. Like, man, this guy's living life. He's driving a Lambo. He's got those hot chicks in his videos. He's ripped. He's strong. He looks confident. He looks like he's a movie star, like Brad Pitt, you know. And so I was like, I started watching those videos and like visualizing what it would feel like to be there. And so I just increased that desire, and I, went through those 2 scenarios. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna be like, F it. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna fall on my face. I'm gonna get rejected. I'm gonna get, we'll go through all the ups and downs, but in the end, it's gonna be worth it, right? And so I started my journey, and I've worked out consistently minimum 3 days a week for the last, I guess it's coming up on four years now.
Wow.
And so I went from 125 pounds at like 5'11", 6 foot to now, I'm like 172 pounds. You saw we were at the gym the other day, so
yeah, man.
I guess it worked.
Yeah, completely, dude. A 4-year transformation.
Yep.
Started off, and he's worked with Greg O'Gallagher.
Yeah, I ended up manifesting that dream too.
Yep.
After I transformed my body, in about 4 months, I gained 20 pounds again, regained muscle. Felt completely just transformed. There's my mindset, my confidence being strong, and building that, just showing up to the gym day in and day out.
Yeah.
Even if you don't feel like it, and hitting PRs and building that reputation with yourself.
Oh, dude, talk about that for a second. So building that reputation for yourself, like that's like $5,000 worth of advice right there. So how do you build that reputation?
Yeah.
How do you build the muscle of self-confidence? And how do you do that process in general?
Yeah, so a lot of people that are insecure, like I used to be, out of shape, or whatever it is their situation is, the main cause is that you say you're gonna do something, you say you want something, and then you don't act in congruency with that desire or that want, right? So for example, let's say, I see a lot of people justifying their situation. Oh, I don't really want to be in shape that bad. But deep down they do, and then when they do go try it and then they fail, they throw in the towel and give up. So the key is you need to find the strategy, the proven path, the blueprint to get from where you are to where you want to go, right? And so for me, I found someone who had what I wanted, right? The body. And I was like, okay, this guy's what I want to look like. I'm going to follow this guy's strategy and just do it. So figuring out and focusing on one thing at a time is crucial. It's like one pillar, right? So, I used to study Tai Lopez, right? Health, wealth, love, and happiness, right? Or fulfillment. So I was like, okay, my health's been a disaster. I need to get the health under control. So I spent 4, 5, 6 months just obsessed with my health.
Yeah, man.
Once I got the health by showing up, and how it starts on a micro level is it's in those small moments when it's like you need to set up first the strategy and the path to transform. Find someone who's where you want to go, the confidence, the charisma, the dating life, the money that you want, the body that you want. Find where they are. Make sure that you have the same values.
Yes.
And then what you need to do is you need to somehow get a path or a blueprint to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
That's going to shortcut it. And then the next part to that is you have to follow through and stay consistent with that and trust the process. And that is where most people fail, and where I was able to pull from the massive amount of pain that I had. And so I think that you need to generate some sort of pain to keep these promises to yourself.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, you need to be like Ed Mylett, he quotes, what's his name? But anyways, it's that which you do not hate, you'll eventually tolerate. So you need to hate your current situation, be like, enough is enough. I can't go anymore. This has to change. You have to draw the line in the sand and be like, I'm never going back.
Yes.
And then when you're like, you're at a place where like, okay, I'm tired, I don't feel like going to the gym, you need to just do it. Now, it's easy to say that. It's not hard to do that. And so it's the small things that create the path of least resistance, like setting out your clothes for the gym the night before in your bed.
Yes.
Planning out your workout at the exact same time block 3 days a week.
Yes.
And making it a habit, because your habits, you're going to fall to your lowest level of habits, routines, and rituals.
Gosh, dude.
You know?
So correct me if I'm wrong, if the way that I interpreted this. You're saying that building self-confidence is sometimes just keeping the promises that you keep for yourself. So if it's something as simple as health, meaning you that day, if you tell yourself that I'm going to eat healthy, you actually eat healthy, and you do that consistently enough over the week, over the month, over the next several months, that starts to build that self-confidence. And it could be something small, right?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be some lofty goal to have this huge thing happen, but it could be something small today that you can start with that's very small, that if you do, it builds that muscle over time and stuff. And so I always tell people that, commitment, huge, is staying true to the commitment that you set out long after the mood that you set it in has left. Because it's really easy at night to look on Instagram and see some fit person, right? And say that you want to look like that, but then what are you doing the next day? And so to build that body over time, you got to realize, like what you're saying, it's a marathon and not a sprint. And then keeping the promises that you keep to yourself. So that's huge.
Yeah, and that's probably how you transform too, right?
Right, yeah, totally.
Yeah, you showed up and you're like, you know what? You probably were in a place where like, I hate the situation that I'm in. Because I know that you share a little bit about...
Nah, man, so...
This guy's got a crazy story too,
Appreciate that,
transformation, man. This guy, he's come a long way. I've seen it, the confidence and stuff, but...
Good job, Q. You hit me on the shoulder. I want to talk about monetization with you. I always tell people that when I'm not with you and I'm hanging out with other friends, right, that are in our circle, I always tell people that Bridger is one of the best I've seen personally, and I mean this sincerely with my heart of hearts, at monetizing our own brand. Because we all have friends here and they're all doing a fantastic job of what they're doing, but selling their audience and the people that they have, they don't do that enough. So for you, you do some of the best at it. I mean, you're almost at that point where you're considered world-class at just monetizing your own audience.
Thank you.
So like, what is the thought patterns, the thinking, and the idea? Like, what is the strategy that you have in getting in front of your audience every day? Because you're almost in front of your audience almost every single day. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so, well, first off, you got to get an audience, right? So I didn't have an audience to begin, so you need to find a strategy, a path to get the audience. Now, assuming you do have the audience, you have some people listening. If you don't, that's what you're...
How do you build it then? How do you start off? Just a quick 30-second, how can you start to build that audience over time?
How I did it was I was like, okay, I want to have a certain amount of followers on Instagram because I want to be able to impact people with my story of fitness, right? My transformation. So I was like, okay, I need to go, again, it's the same strategy for almost everything I do in life. I'm going to go find someone who's already done what I want to do.
Yes.
So I started reaching out to people with 50,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers, 150,000 followers. What's the strategy? What's the secret? How'd you get there? And I wouldn't just do it by, asking. I would be genuine. I'd be like, hey, like, I love your page. I love X, Y, and Z, like being genuine, building a connection. And then from there being like, then almost getting them to be like, I see a little bit of myself in this guy. Up and coming. Like, this guy, he's got great content. He just doesn't have the strategy. So then I found the strategy, and that's where I actually ended up. One of my first business ideas that blew up was helping get people, build their personal brands on Instagram from 0 to 10,000 followers and then monetize. So the best way is to find someone, because it's always going to change. The strategies for social media and growth are always going to change.
Yes.
But the principles behind, finding someone who's already cracked the code, building a connection with them, and a genuine friendship.
And this is huge, guys, because this is someone that at 19 years old made 6 figures. 19 years old. Think about that. People don't even in their 40s and 50s right now currently making $100,000 a year. So that's huge advice. Keep going, I apologize.
Thank you. No, dude, I appreciate it. And so it's like, it's a simple cheat code. You find someone, and then from there, in terms of monetizing your audience, it's a mindset for sure. Like you said, it's a mindset, and so I'm always thinking about, first off, who exactly am I trying to speak to? Because if you try to speak to everyone, appease everyone, you're going to end up serving no one, helping no one, selling no one. So you need to begin with the person that you're going to speak to specifically in mind when you turn on the camera, you start posting on Instagram. Then you need to get inside their head and be like, okay, what are the emotions they're going through? What are their desires? What are they struggling with? And how can you speak to that? Because one thing I learned from, Dean Graziosi is that people buy when they feel understood.
Yeah.
So if you can get them to feel understood with your stories and relate to you, here's where I used to be, here's where I am now, there's hope for you, being a leader, then that is the biggest, result. The separator is selling the transformation. Like, dude, listen, like, I get it, man. Like, you're struggling, you're insecure, you're out of shape. I feel you. Like, I used to be there too. But if you have the blueprint, the path, the strategy to get there, it's game over.
That's huge.
You know, and then selling that unique, that unique system, that unique mechanism. And so people buy, I think, number one, like what you're selling, like the unique strategy, proprietary strategy, method, formula. But also, the people you can't forget is that they also buy who you are. You know, who you are as a person in terms of like your personality, connecting with people, and things like that. And so I would say the biggest thing that you can take into it is identifying who you want to help. And I call it the BTA strategy. It's something I teach in one of my courses where you define who you were before your transformational journey. I call it the beta version of yourself. And you write that out. And usually that beta version of yourself, before you went on a transformational journey, is who you're going to serve and help and who you're going to target.
Yes.
And then you create your marketing, your message around that, and you create your content around the T, which is the transformational journey. So imagine a B, you write down who you were before. So I was a skinny, weak, insecure, out of shape kid who had no social skills at all. And what was the transformational journey? What were the tangible process, the steps that I went through to transform into the after or the alpha version of myself?
Yeah.
And then you define what that dream after version of themselves looks like, or you look like. And then what you're doing is you're always bridging that gap.
Yeah. There you go. Bridger
The
Rogers.
The bridger.
So while you were out of shape, starting to overcome the sickness, we're still posting content.
Okay, so I started posting content about a couple months into my journey.
2017.
Yeah, in 2017.
Which is huge, because if you think about it, most people feel like they're not successful in whatever aspect of health, finances, business, and they're not posting stuff because they feel like they have to get there and then post stuff.
Wow.
But the power is in doing it and documenting the journey.
Yes.
Like starting now. Like why not start now? Because 3 years from now, it's not a matter of if you're going to be somewhere. It's where are you going to be.
I like that.
Right?
Yep.
And just starting now. So that's a huge thing that I'm sure that looking back is what you did.
That's exactly what I did, and that's what I also taught all of my students. Is like, listen, you don't have to be in the best shape. You don't have to look like me. You don't have to look like these supermodels. You need to now define who exactly your tribe's going to be, and then the type of people you want to attract, and then what you need to do is document your journey. Where you are, share. And so basically, if you go to my Instagram, Bridger_Rogers, you scroll all the way down, you'll see where I very began. With that skinny photo of me. First, you see the before, actually, when I was healthy, when I was 14, ripped, and then you see me skinny again. And then you see the journey. You see me literally going from like 15-pound weighted chin-ups all the way to 100 pounds, and I'm documenting that entire journey. And so there's a power in documenting the journey and building a following around that, because when you finally launch and sell a product, people have so much rapport with your journey. They followed that they're like they just can't not like be a part. They want to be a part of it. And they're almost kind of like they're rooting for you, but they're also wondering, okay, is what this guy's doing right now, is this going to work out? And if it does, I'm going to jump on board. So they're waiting for the, essentially the bandwagon to hop on.
Yes.
The proven path.
Yeah.
And so if you can document that and share that, then you're going to be way further ahead in terms of the game.
Completely. I mean, I think it takes having extreme self-awareness. And I think that not enough people are talking about what self-awareness truly means. I think it means knowing yourself. Huge, huge, huge points. Knowing yourself to the core and knowing your current circumstance and being completely honest with yourself. Because I think a lot of people try to beat around the bush, or they say that they're not this, or they're not fat, but in reality to themselves, if that's how you feel when it's behind closed doors, when you're looking in the mirror, then that's how you feel, right? And so starting from a place of knowing where you're at right now, like what you're talking about, having the self-awareness and the knowing yourself and the respect for yourself to know that place, and then know where you want to go. It's how to get there.
Yep.
It's your job to know that you're going to get there. And it takes self-confidence, it takes certainty, it takes knowing yourself, having self-awareness from where you're at and where you want to go as well.
Yep, I love that. And that's easier said than done, knowing that you're going to get there, believing, because, when you're starting off and you have nothing that you've ever accomplished in your life that's worthy, and you just failed, like me at 15, you're always questioning. You have these ups and downs, like, oh, dude, I'm gonna get ripped, I'm gonna crush it. And then there was times where like, maybe I'm so skinny that I don't have any muscle to build. Like seriously, that was the thoughts I was going through. Or maybe it's like, so not, believing and consistent whenever you have those downs, it's picking yourself back up again and believing like, you know what, I can do this.
Yes.
And finding role models, people who have comeback stories.
Yes.
That you can look up to and be like, oh, you know what, Thomas Edison, he failed 1,092 times before he invited the light,
Tom.
That's going on right now, the man Tom. So it's so important to make sure that you are constantly believe in yourself, but not beating yourself up if you're not.
Yeah.
Because there's times even in my life, I don't know about you, but sometimes I question, if I'm going to get there.
Yes.
Sometimes I question my certain areas. And as you start to, rewire your brain, it becomes less and less frequent. But when you're starting off, it's going to happen like 100 times a day,
So what's your advice in fitness health-wise to the skinny guy? What's your advice to the skinny fat guy? And what's your advice to the person that's completely overweight? The skinny guy has to do different stuff in the gym.
I agree.
Skinny fat guy might have to do a little bit different. And then the overweight person, right, they have to do something that's completely different, right? So speak to that a little bit in terms of fitness. And
the strategy?
The strategy.
Yeah, so basically, that's good that you differentiated those, because that's one of the biggest things is like when anybody asks me advice on like which fitness program should I follow, because there's a keto, there's intermittent fasting, there's all this stuff. There's a couple things that you should take into consideration when evaluating what fitness program to follow that's going to get you the best results. So number one is, what is your dream physique or goal? What's your goal with what you're doing? Do you want to look like a supermodel? Do you want to just get average? You want to get back into average shape? Do you want to look like you did when you were 30? Maybe you're 50 and you want to look like you did when you're 30? Like, what's the goal? So once we know what the goal is, then you need to identify what the fastest, shortest path is to get there that covers the 3 E's. The most effective, efficient, and enjoyable way to get there. Because if it's not enjoyable, or you don't at least find some thrill or challenge in it, you're gonna give up. Because we only do what we enjoy long term.
Yes.
And I love working out. I love what I'm doing now because I developed a strategy that was in congruence with that. So once you know where you want to go and you know what body type you are, that's the next step, is identifying which body type you are. You need to find a strategy, a path. And so in terms of the actual strategy and path, the biggest, couple things that I'd give advice to each of those different demographics is, for the skinny guy, you're not gonna probably wanna do intermittent fasting to start off. You're gonna wanna instead, eat within 2 to 4 hours of waking up, and you're probably gonna wanna hit anywhere between 20 and 25 calories per pound of body weight per day. Okay, and it depends on each person's metabolism and body type and how, because there's no one person that's like 100% skinny, ectomorph. There's a little bit of like, between ecto and mesomorph, if you know what those are.
This is where you guys should be taking notes. Skinny guy, 25 to 20 calories per pound of body weight.
You want to hit
now,
it
is
there.
that, can I ask,
Yeah.
their current weight or the weight that they want to get to?
Current weight.
Current weight.
Current weight. So let's say you weigh, let's just say 100 pounds, you're going to eat 2,000 calories to start. If you're 150 pounds, you're going to eat, 3,000 calories, right? And then you're going to slowly, try that and see if you're gaining weight. And if you're not gaining at least, a pound in the first 2 weeks, and this is super important because your weight fluctuates a lot throughout the day. You need to weigh yourself at the exact same time, and after, use the restroom in the morning on the exact same day. And otherwise you're going to have inconsistent,
Right.
weights.
And I feel like everyone fluctuates. Just through the
like
eating that they do or
pounds.
don't do, exactly, the water that they do and don't do. All of that.
Yeah, and if you can make it consistent, then you're able to have a better reading, right?
Yep.
So for that's the calories you want to hit. Now, in terms of the workouts, you want to focus on getting stronger. So muscle is a byproduct of strength. Okay, so if you can get stronger on the key exercises, they're going to build the physique that you want. So if you're looking to build, a strong, chiseled physique that women are naturally attracted to, I call it the alpha V-taper physique. That you see on the big screens rocking, the physique that just naturally attracts beautiful girls. Then you're going to want to focus on building the V, okay? Because that's proven as the #1 sign of physical attraction, in women, or men to women. So to do that, some of my favorite exercises are going to be incline dumbbell bench. Is really good because it builds the upper shoulders, builds the triceps, also builds the chest, plate of armor chest, and then also it's going to be weighted chin-ups. That's going to build the back, build the V, build the biceps. And then, of course, you want to keep your legs dialed as well. So I like walking lunges, and so those are really good. But as far as that's what you want to focus on, is if you're skinny, you want to focus on getting stronger, showing up at the gym and hitting a PR, even if it's just small. Going from, 10-pound dumbbells for curls to 12.5 the next week. Increasing the reps by 1 to 2 reps for your sets.
Every week, every month?
Every week.
Every
day. Every workout.
Every
workout, I come in, I have one goal. My goal is to hit a personal record.
There you go.
I come in, I'm like And if I don't hit a personal record, I do a self-analysis. Okay, was my sleep off? Was my nutrition off? Was my mindset off?
Yes.
What was off? Because that's the key performance indicator that I track in the gym.
Yes.
It's going to result in my muscles getting bigger, you know? And so...
What about the skinny fat guy?
For the skinny fat guy, I would recommend you do intermittent fasting.
Okay.
You do a 16-8 split where you fast for 16 hours, and you don't have to be super, you know, I guess, hardcore about this. You want to just basically track the last time that you ate. So let's say you stop eating at like 8 o'clock. You eat the next day around 12.
Yeah.
And then what I'd recommend is you do a smaller meal, like, you know, like let's just say, you know, maybe like a couple sandwiches from Chick-fil-A, you know, a salad or something like that. And then you have a bigger meal in the evening, maybe like 1,000, 1,200 calorie meal, where you've got, you know, some of your foods. And make sure that you put in there 80% organic whole foods is what's going to maximize your testosterone, leave you feeling full. And then 20% you can eat like processed or like, you know, you still want to do healthy processed, like organic processed chips and stuff like that.
And then touch on this because this is something that I believe as well. So for the skinny fat guy, quality versus quantity, right? That whole premise of like if it's 2,000 calories, like what you're talking about, quality food or fried food, right? They're both 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
For the skinny guy, it might work out for him because he's got that fast metabolism and he can handle that. But for the skinny fat person or for the overweight person, they may not be able to do the type of bad type of food, fried food, fast food, things like that as well.
And also think about this. Remember, every time you go to the gym, you're tearing down your muscles. And the way I picture, the way I explain to my clients is this. It's that when you go to the gym, imagine you're building, like you have like a, let's say you're, you know, brand new apartment building or house or something. And when you go down to the gym, you're literally taking a giant wrecking ball and just slamming the whole thing down, right? You're tearing that burn you feel working out is you tearing your muscles down. Now, the nutrition, the fuel that you eat, imagine a giant pile of, you know, construction equipment and materials are just dropped. And that is the fuel, the nutrition, the food that you eat is the fuel that's going to rebuild those muscles, that building bigger. And the sleep that you do at night is when the workers are actually taking the material and rebuilding it stronger.
Yes.
So over 90% of muscle rebuild is done at night when you're sleeping. So that's one of the biggest keys, called the strength to sleep ratio. You got to have that dialed. But as far as the quality of food, think about it. Would you want, you know, the story of the 3 pigs that build it out of, you know, stone, straw? You don't want to build your house, you know, your muscles out of straw. That's eating really low quality processed foods, fatty foods. You know, it's not going to build that hard look.
Yes.
There's a huge difference that I've seen in my clients from them eating a lot of processed, low quality foods and how their muscles will react to that fuel, even though they're doing the exact same training and fitness regime. So that's why I say over 80%, because obviously you want to have a little bit of enjoyment in life, but 80% you want to have organic,
quality food,
whole foods, real foods you can go out and grab in the world. You know, like chicken, broccoli, potatoes, steak, rice.
And I feel like that's most important for those 2 categories. The person that's like super skinny their entire life, obviously you do want to eat the healthy food and stuff, but they can get away with eating like processed foods. Not that it's healthy for their body, right? Because it's like all mind, body, temple thing, but like, you know, there's so many people that I know that can start like eating unhealthy food, still get bigger, but they'll face those problems in 3 or 4 years, you know? Yeah,
exactly. So I think it's extremely important, and this guy, he eats extremely healthy 90% of the time. So
that's so true.
It's true. No,
90%.
And you know, you don't want to have 100% because then it's like you're a robot. Like nobody can.
Yeah, unless you're a bodybuilder or something like that.
And so if you're really overweight, this might be a little controversial, but if I was like 100 pounds overweight, I would want to get it over with. So what I would do is I'd go to the doctor. I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna do a water fast for 30 days. I would just stop eating for 30 days. I'm not kidding. I watched a video on YouTube. You can Google this. I watched a video on YouTube, and it was literally a guy who was like 300 pounds overweight. Like this guy weighed 350 pounds or something like that. Maybe even 450. And he just stopped eating. He dropped like 200 pounds.
Consult with the doctor before you do that.
Yeah, guys, don't pin this on me. Consult with the doctor.
But for that person, if they didn't do the water fast and they do actually want to get in shape, then what's that?
Let's say they're like more conservatively, like 30 to 50 pounds overweight, which is a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
I would say fast longer.
And this is the group again that's been overweight their whole life almost. Not the skinny fat or the person that was skinny or skinny and fat that turned into having 30 more pounds, but this is someone that had a bad metabolism since they were born. Yeah,
and so basically, it could be a bad metabolism, but mostly probably what it's going to be is if I were to take a look at what you're eating, these people the people that I look at that are extremely overweight, and you look at them at the grocery store, tons of processed food, like you said. Like I'm talking, and the problem with processed food is that number one, it's not good for you on a DNA level, but also it's so calorie dense,
Yes.
and it doesn't satisfy you. So they're just eating so many calories to fill them up and have their satiation level equal to that would be just eating good food.
Absolutely.
So for these people, what I recommend and I've helped my clients do is you want to essentially condense your eating window down by intermittent fasting. So I would fast 20 hours. Like when I'm on an extreme diet, I'll fast 20 hours in a day and I'll have one meal.
Yeah.
And so I would fast 20 hours, maybe even 22 hours, maybe even 24 if you're like really feeling it. But I would start off with 16, go from 16 week 1 to 18, then from 18 to 20 and see how you're feeling, listen to your body. And then what you want to do is you want to eat about 10 calories per how much you weigh.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody's 250 pounds, you're going to start off by eating 2,500 calories.
Yes.
And you're going to do that for a couple months and then you're going to reassess.
Yep.
And then the biggest thing when it comes to losing weight, a lot of people are like, oh, you need to work out, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's literally as simple as this. Calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
How fast is your metabolism? How many calories you're consuming? And any surplus is going to be added.
Yes.
And so it comes down to your activity level, how fast your metabolism is. Even like small things like us moving right now, our feet, like this contributes to your metabolism.
Totally.
And so all these, if you look at people that are overweight, they're just very sedentary.
Yeah, they don't move at all.
Like they don't move, they have very low energy. And so it's like, I'm serious, like the more energy you have, like think about a Ferrari, right? Or a Lambo, when you put that metal to the, that thing's sucking up a lot of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Versus when you're in like a, like let's say slowly ease up on the.
Yeah.
I mean that's essentially just moving slow. When you move slow, you burn less energy.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say for those people. And in terms of even the person who's like 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, I wouldn't even start hitting the gym yet.
Yeah.
I would wait a couple months and dial in your nutrition because that's going to give you 80% of the results.
Mm-hmm.
Dial in your nutrition, eat the foods that you love in terms of eating healthy organic whole foods, learning how to eat. Maybe learning how to cook a really good chicken dish with rice or potatoes or broccoli.
Yeah.
And then from there, once you start to lose some of the weight, because it's a lot harder to work out when you have a lot of extra weight, then maybe start to hit the gym a couple months later.
I always tell people too, like if you could just get to the gym and go to the sauna, like if that's all you do for the first month, just to get in the habit, right? Because that's what it does, is get in the habit of going to the gym. And it's not even touching the weights, it's not even touching the cardio machines, it's just going into the gym, because most gyms have them now. And you just sit in the sauna for 15 to 20 minutes. And you might see results from that, but ultimately what that does more importantly is it builds the habit of just getting out of bed or getting out of your house and going to the gym, because then it eventually turns into conversations. You start figuring out that these people really, if you think about it, which is so true in life, people are thinking about you. They're thinking about what you're thinking about them, right? So when we have that insecurity that we're going into the gym and people are looking at us, like they're not really thinking about us unless you walk in and you're just like, looking weird, right? But nobody does that. Nobody does that. So it's that whole thing of people are not thinking about you. They're thinking about what you're thinking about them. That's true in life. That's true in business. That's throughout, our journey of existence and stuff. And so I always want to pride myself, guys, in conclusion here, because this is so important, of bringing people that are world class. And world class to me, again, remember, is being exceptional in many areas of their life. They're not just trying to max out or be successful in just finances. They want to be successful in health, right? They want to be successful in business, in coaching, in dating, in whatever Bridger is trying to do. And so he's got this whole vision for himself and his life mapped out for him. And the only difference between him achieving that right now is time. Time is the only, right? Because you're going to do this stuff. Everything that you're going after, and I can't wait to see it all unfold for you. And so I wanted to bring you on here to give them the know-how on where you started, and to see a story from someone that started off with Lyme disease, was extremely skinny, lost 20 pounds, completely insecure, to where now I'm confident enough, knowing Bridger now, that you can drop him in any city, any state in this country, and within less than 3 months, he'll know everybody in that city. Because when he walks into a room and he knows nobody, by the end of that, he knows everyone. And that takes a skill, that takes confidence, that takes knowing yourself, self-awareness, planning, and building that muscle over time. So what's your last piece of advice that you think that you can give to someone that, whether they're just starting out, they want to be confident, they want to be successful, like what's that last boom that you can give them to say, man, I can do that myself? Get them fired up, dude.
Here it is, okay, you ready? Your superpower is found in solitude. And here's why I say that. In order for you, if let's just say, let's just say I was a sheep before, not a leader, not knowing what I want, not being confident, not being ambitious. In order for you to start running with lions, you've got to first isolate, transform, level up, and become a person worthy of running with lions. So, dude, he's turning into a lion right now, man. This is some good stuff. So basically, when I was transforming, I spent a lot of time, watching content, consuming content from other lions, people who had leveled up in areas that I wanted to. Ed Milet, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, Greg Gallagher, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and I just would be obsessed with putting this content into my brain: confidence, motivation, success, being where I want to go, visualizing, and disassociating myself from people who are not in that path and not, don't have that same vision, that are pulling me back, making fun of me for that stuff, completely cutting off, those people that are maybe insecure. Like I had this one friend when I was in high school, and I would just be myself like this, and I would say something that he would perceive as a jab at him, or that he would take offense to, and he would get insecure and kind of butthurt and get all emotional. Like, I can't have those people in my life, because when you have somebody who's insecure around you, it's going to just pull you down and suck the life out of you, is what I found. And so your superpower is found in solitude. So defining where you want to go, figuring out what you need to do to get there. This is the 4-step formula that I've used. The Bridger 4-step formula to success. Number 1, defining exactly what it is you want. There's a quick, simple exercise that I'm going to give them. Is I want you to imagine a time machine just pops up right here, okay? And you go into that time machine and you turn the dial 5 years. And when you land, you have a magic genie appear. Okay, however your dream life you want it to look like, anything and everything you want. The people in your life, the interactions, the mindset, how you feel, the things that you have, the relationships, everything is exactly how you can have it if anything were possible. No limitations. Because when you're in a place where I was always thinking about, oh, I can never do that. I don't know how. I'm not capable. I'm not this. And so when you're in a how place, and you need to get into a place when you're in solitude of what? Reflecting, sitting there. What do I really want to achieve? Who do I want to become? What is the life that I want to live? When I'm 80 years old, 100 years old on my deathbed, what is the life that I wish I would have lived? And what is the things that I'm doing right now that I'm either going to regret not doing or regret doing? And how can I avoid that? Regret and minimalization is so key. So asking yourself what you want, that's step 1. After you figure out and define exactly what it is you want, not general stuff, I want to make money, I want to be rich, I want to have a girlfriend.
Exactly what you want.
Exactly, man. Like the color of the girl's hair, the eyes, like the facial, how she treats you, your conversations you have, your ideal dates, your guys' common hobbies, like super, super in-depth to where it's like a movie. Then from there, once you know what you want, then you need to know why you want it. Because if you don't know why, you're never going to find out the how, you're never going to endure long enough.
Yes.
You need to know why it's so important to you. Because Ed Milet always talks about this, and he says that a man with a big enough, why, people who have big reasons are going to accomplish big things. A man who knows, and I think it was Viktor Frankl who said, a man who knows his why can endure anyhow.
Yeah, true.
And so once you define why, okay, why is this important to me? Why does this mean something to me? And you sit down and you write that list down, then you're going to have the motivation to go back to it. You put that up against your bed, what you want, why you want it. Then you can basically go back, okay, why am I doing this? Why is this so important?
Yep.
Oh, I don't like being skinny anymore. I don't like being rejected. I don't like that feeling. I don't like, this, whatever. And then from there, step three, not step 1. Step 3 is to figure out how to get there. Okay, what's the strategy? What do I need to be doing on a day-to-day basis that I need to implement to get where I want to go?
Yep.
How do I get there? And if you don't know how, which I didn't know how for almost all this stuff, ask yourself who. Who has already accomplished what I want to accomplish? Who has already done what I want to do? How can I find them? How can I get their attention? How can I add value? How can I get their strategy? Whether it be you buy a program, like when I was, in Idaho, my first job at 17, because my parents did pay for really anything besides my food, minimum clothing. In order for me to get a car and have freedom and start to live my life, expand my life, I had to get a job to pay for my car insurance and to pay for gas and things like that. So my first job at 17 when I started to heal was bagging groceries, making $7.85 an hour. $7.85 an hour. And so I took that money. It was like 2 months worth of paychecks working part-time while going to school, and invested that in a Ty Lopez Millionaire Mentor course. And so all my other friends were spending that money buying Snickers bars, buying stuff, buying food, whatever. And I saved that money and invested it into myself. Yeah. Because I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew I needed a strategy to get there. So that's the 4-step formula. Figure out exactly what it is you want, why you want it is number 2. Why is it so important? Number 3, figuring out the how, defining the path. And if you don't know how, you don't have an idea of how to get there. Yeah. Figuring out who has already accomplished that and getting them on your side as an ally, as a guidance, as a mentor, advisor to develop the path and the strategy to get you where you want to go. Yep. And remember, your superpower is found in solitude.
So, Bridger, thank you, man, for being on. It's an honor. So,
Absolutely.
can't wait for the
bro.
many more times that we get together and continue to pursue your business. And
Make
stuff,
sure you
so.
stay plugged in with this guy's stuff. He's gonna be dropping bombs. You can't get any better.
Follow Bridger
conversations
down
than this
below.
guy.
Bridger Rogers, Bridger _Rogers.
Yep, on Instagram.
Yep. And if they want to work with you, do you have a website or anything?
Yeah, so what you want to do is if you're interested in leveling up and building what I call the Alpha Keen lifestyle, body, businesses, and babes is what I specialize in. Helping guys level up their body, making money, being successful with their business, because you are a business.
Yep.
You know, as an entrepreneur, your ideas, are a business. You as a person being successful, building connections, building relationships is going to, be a business that's going to make you money.
Yes.
And then building the babe life of your dreams, right? Building the confidence, the skills, are some of the things that I love helping guys with. So if you have any questions on those, we'd love to help you out. Shoot me a DM.
Again, guys, follow Bridger down below. Stay tuned for the next episode. God bless, take care, and stay tuned.
Let's go.